Dude,
Morning.
what it is?
It is good. I didn't get a chance to do anything yesterday with
All right. All right. Well, start with the leader report. Start with the leader report.
okay.
Are you part of that really cold weather?
Oh my God. I was at an 8 a.m. meeting this morning. I just got back in. Oh, I was so happy to get home.
Yeah,
Freeze.
my brother sent me a picture and it's minus 22 Fahrenheit in
Yep.
where he is.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah. So I've been watching pictures of the lake down in Chicago. It's pretty similar to us here
Yeah.
because we're on a lake too. But wow.
Yeah. I saw this dog doing this. I love Michigan little jingle. It's cute, but it's saying, it's so cold, like I can barely breathe, and spring is never going to come, but I'm never leaving Michigan. I'm
Yeah.
frozen to the ground.
Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. So anyway,
Oh
yeah.
my
All right.
God.
So open that leader file.
Okay. Did you email it?
It should be in that folder that I shared with you.
Okay, let me open up my Google Drive. Hold on.
Shared, and then it's from Jim to Robert.
Okay, one sec. Dropbox.
Yep.
From Jim to Robert.
And then what, the 30 January? Nope. That's yesterday, 24 January. So those are your 2, 4, 6 files, and then that spreadsheet that we did on that one call, the 6 files is the.
Okay. Cool. So we're gonna open up
The leader version.
the leader. This one. That's a copy.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I should download this first and then open it, right?
Yeah, if you don't have the Windows client keeping it in sync.
Well, I do, but it's
That's fine.
kind of deprecated.
Just download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't use the online version of Excel because it's not macro enabled yet.
Nope. Oh, it hasn't been for a while.
Excel has been around since what? Windows 98?
95-ish, yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
it came out with Office and with Windows 98. So
yeah.
that's 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's not nearly enough time to put macros online.
Well, they just started going online. Office 365 is only several years old.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the problem they're having. It's all security. Once you put something in the cloud, keep it from grabbing files all over the place.
I think we changed it. Okay, I'm open.
Okay, share your screen.
Screen. Can you see it?
Yep. And now you want
Okay.
to enable content. And go to your file section, do file. And way at the bottom, options. And customize ribbon. And way over on the right, tick the box called developer. All right, do OK. Okay, now you've got that developer, and that's what you want. But what you first want to look at is the macros. That's how you access the macros of each of the files. Now, there may be internal macros listed, but what you see here are only the macros that are, in some sense, standalone, ones that you can run from this panel. So there's a macro used in one of the things called "Does the file exist?" It's not used here because it's only used internally. Many of these things you don't need and you'll never use, and they're just because of historical reasons. But there are free macros that you will use in this file. The build week sheets is used once a year. Okay. Now click on edit over on the right hand side. Just click the edit. So what the build week, how much experience do you have with VBA?
Limited. I can muddle my way through it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, one of the VBA is very forgiving. You don't have to declare variables. But if you do, you can, it's easier to document. So the DIM statement, I don't know what it's an abbreviation for, but it really is declare. So declare WB workbook this as workbook. So what I've tried to do is use names where the first letter or two are the type of thing it is.
Yeah, so it's a workbook, a sheet.
N is an integer. B is a Boolean. D is a date.
And string,
Yeah, B year as integer is probably bad. Okay. S is a string. Okay. So except for B year, that's kind of the notation. So N caps is the number of caps. N CPCs is the number of power to creates. Sheet template is the workbook called this, and its sheets property, and the sheet with the name template. Do you see where I'm reading that?
Yeah.
So what this macro does is deletes all of the sheets for the current year, and then adds a sheet for each of the weeks for the following year. So near the end of 2019, you'll run this macro once. And what it'll do is it'll build the sheets for 2020.
Okay. And it renames it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually have to change the current year.
Yeah, and there are three places that you have to change. So you have to change to the current year. So that would be 2020. Okay. Now, if you take a look, the first thing is the application is an object. There's things called objects which have lots of properties.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other things that don't have properties, like a number doesn't really have a property. You know, if you did any work, did you ever do any work with Smalltalk?
No.
Smalltalk was actually an object.
Mm.
There are things that are objects and there are things that are not. So an application has a property called calculation. So the application is Excel, and calculation says manual calculation. Application display alerts false. Application screen updating is false. That's just to speed things up, so you're not always using your computer to refresh things in the middle of this macro. Okay? And then B stops is false, and do until B stop is true.
So the 2019, that's the year we want it to be?
Yeah, that's the year you're going to build.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so then there's a loop that says do until B stop.
All right.
Okay? And then delete the old sheets. So with a number like B year equals 2019, all you have to do is use an assignment equal sign. So B year.
Well, this unprotected sheet that's got a password on it?
No, but you just want to make sure that before you delete a thing, you unprotect it. Because if you try to delete a protected sheet. So sheets sometimes get protected, and so you just make sure that it's not protected. That's a good comment, but it's not quite true. All it's doing is go back to the Excel window. Yeah. See how there's the MAs, the coaches, the region, the data, the courses, and then the whole bunch of sheets with date names.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those date names could be protected. You know, it's just we protected. They could be. The MAs could be protected. You know, so it's not true that they're password protected. It could be that they're just protected from change.
Right.
And you're not going to delete all the sheets. You're just going to delete the ones with the date names. So go back to your Visual Basic. So see how it says set this sheet equal to the sheet number and then get the sheet name?
Puppies.
Yeah, I know. I take them for walks about, between an hour and a half and 2 hours a day.
Nice.
And today it was raining, so they're all wet. And one of them likes to sleep underneath my feet, which is good because they're a little bit damp.
Yeah.
Why not? You could be under there. Yeah, you could be under there. Okay.
Did they come with the house?
Yeah, they came with the house.
Nice.
So that loop from that do until B stop where you've got your cursor all the way down to the loop statement
Yeah.
is looking for sheets with date names. So the set sheet this equal to WB this dot sheets and sheet gets the next sheet in the list starting with 1. See where 2 statements above it says end sheet equals 1, B stop equals false. So it starts with the first sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it says get the sheet name, sh this dot name. And then if str name is a date, unprotect it and delete it.
Got it.
However, if you run this thing a couple of times, while I was debugging it, it adds 50 sheets and then goes through and names them according to the date and so on. Does a couple other things. But while I was debugging it, if I would stop it in the middle, I would still have those 50 sheets. So this next thing is, if the name of the sheet has the word sheet in it, delete it.
Hmm.
You know, if the length is greater than 5 and the left-hand 5 say sheet, then delete that because it's a leftover from a failed run. And then if end sheet is greater than the workbook number of sheet, workbook sheets count, then stop
Right.
true, and that'll stop the loop. So what's that doing is looking at the name of each sheet, and if it's a date, it deletes it, and if it's got the word sheet and something, it deletes it, and it leaves the rest of it. So it'll leave MA and courses and data and all that other stuff.
So this one is run once a year.
Yeah.
When do we run this? Like, I guess at
As soon as the calendar is fixed.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the new course calendar, right?
Yep. Yeah, the Ops Manager version of the calendar. Okay. So that first loop, all it does is cleans out everything except for the control. It cleans out all the weak tabs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then and this sheet is the number of sheets that are left. So it gets the number of control sheets. So that way, if you add something, as long as you don't name it a date or a sheet something, the statement just below loop will get you the number of your non-date sheets, the number of sheets that are left. A little bit lower with where your mouse is. See where the loop statement is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super.
Okay, so and this sheet is the number of sheets that are left, and then the number of, and this sheet is the first week sheet, will be the next sheet. Okay, and then activate the last sheet. So WB this.sheets.count will be the number of sheets in the workbook. And if you activate that sheet, it activates the right hand of your tabs.
Cool.
Then sets B stop back to false, and it changed to the first Saturday of the year. So see where D this is date 0 of 2019 1/5.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to change that next year to be January. The first Saturday is 2020 1/4.
Okay.
Okay. Now you add 53 weeks because even though a year has 52 weeks,
Yeah.
from when it starts, there could be 53 Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's why WB this.sheets.add after equals your active sheet count equals 53, adds 53 week sheets. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you activate that first sheet. You get the name of D this, and you notice that D this would be 2019 January 5. We set that date right up there. Yeah, just right there.
Okay. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. So I set the start date. And then it kind of just goes from there.
And then, you know, you name that week sheet to be, you know, 5 January, and then you go to the template sheet and you copy range A1 through BA 100. And the destination equals your date sheet, A1. And then you do a little bit of adjusting of the column widths.
Mm-hmm.
You put the date into the sheet. Go back to your Excel spreadsheet. See where it says week 19 January in C10?
Yeah.
That gets set in this macro. Otherwise, there's nothing on the sheet that tells you what week it is except the sheet name. So that's a good thing to have. And then it sets the column width. So column width of A is 1, B and C are 13, D is 1, E is 13, F is 1, G is 18, and H through Y are 10.
Oh, there it is, C13.
Okay, now go to C13. Go to C13 on your Excel sheet.
C13, so 3.
Yeah, click on that formula. Okay, it's adds 11 and 12, click on 11. So it's a count if your working G is a cap, plus the count if working G is a CAPE. So that's why you have to wait for the calendar.
Okay.
Right click through your 19 January tab name. Just at the bottom of your tab name, just your sheet. Yeah. And unhide the calendar. It's called working. So that's, you paste in the calendar column, you know, the first 5 tabs, and then you can get the count of the courses. So that's why you have to wait until that calendar is fixed.
Okay.
Okay, to go back to your 19 January tab. So by formula, it picks up the cap and the CPC count, and it adds them up to get the total number of courses. Now click on the 26th, the January 26th tab. See how the courses are already filled in?
Yeah.
That's a combination of the formula. So click on H2. So it says if the column of H2 minus 7 is less than or equal C13. So if I, so there's 7 courses. So is this one of those 7 columns for the courses? Then get the course type from the working tab. And if you go down to H3, that gets the leader from the working tab. And H4 gets coach from the from the coaches tab based on who the
Right.
leader is. And the H5 gets the location from the working tab. And
Okay, this you just build a variable.
and then H6 gets the region.
Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
And then from H8 all the way to the bottom of that column, just get stuff from the data columns. But that'll get filled in once the course happens. But those first 5 rows, course, leader, coach, location, and region, are filled in by the macro that we're looking at.
Okay.
Okay. Now right-click on your 26 January tab again, and look at template, unhide template. This tab is the one that is copied, you know, from A1 to BA 100. This becomes the basis for the each week's sheet. So if for some reason you needed to change each of the weeks, what you do is you'd change the template and rebuild the weeks.
Okay. This is once per year. So the macro. Okay, so the macro actually does the amount of columns it actually needs, right?
Yeah, if you go back to the macro, that's what it's going to do next.
Yeah.
So if it takes where it says end courses equals sheet this dot range dot C13 dot value,
Yeah.
just a little bit below your mouse, just below that section, yeah, the next statement, next down, yep, that one. Okay. And then it says SH this range, column of 8 plus the number of courses, you know, so because there are 8 columns to the left of the first course, through column 50, entire column hide. So that's the thing that hides the columns for the courses that aren't available.
Okay.
Okay, then it sets the active window zoom to 80. It puts the cursor in H8, freeze panes, you know, then moves to A1. Okay, add 7 to it. It bumps to the next sheet and changes the date by a week. And then here's the third place you have to change it. If the year of that add 7 to the date is now 2020, exit. You're done. Because you won't, I mean, there's a way to find out, does a week have 52 or 53 Saturdays? But what it does is just goes until it finds a Saturday in 2021, and then it stops. Otherwise, it just goes back and does the next week. So this loop is done 52 times or 53 times, depending on the number of Saturdays. And it stops when it gets either to 53 or the first week in the next year. And then the next two statements is if there are only 52 weeks in the year, it deletes the 53rd week. So it says the sheet name equals the last sheet in the workbook's name, and if that is a date, if it's not a date, then delete it. Okay? And then it protects the coaches, the MAs, hides the working, protects and hides the template, protects and hides the running totals, protects and hides the results, protects and hides the data. And then turns calculation on, and then it's done. So that's the thing that builds the sheets each year.
Okay.
That was used historically, that was used as a utility. It's never run anymore, so you don't have to worry about that, and you probably could delete it. And then this is the save small macro. Okay.
Okay, so this one's run every week.
That's the one that's run every week. And what it does is it, declares some stuff and sets the workbook and the number of sheets. And then from 1 to the number of sheets, it activates the first sheets.
And this is the one Toro runs, right?
This is the one that, remember, there's the macro enabled version, but we never send that to the leaders because it'll freak them out. So we sterilize it. And by sterilize it, I mean we remove the formulas and we remove the macros and we save it as an XLSX file for distribution. So this builds a distribution format, and if you step your way through it for each sheet, if the sheet is a date, then just below where your mouse is now, it says if date S sheet name.
Yeah.
Then select the cells of that sheet, copy, paste special equals value. So that removes the formulas. Okay, and then that just makes sure that it hides the columns based on the number of courses. And then Zoe would like to have a little tiny column between the access to power and the power to create, so that visually it's delineated. So if the number of access to power, see that if statement, if n caps times n CPC is greater than 0? Right there?
Yeah, yeah.
All that does is, are there both kinds of courses? If either course is missing, then that will be
0. Yeah.
So if it's greater than 0, then I have both course types. So
right, but if one of them is missing, it'll be 0.
Yeah, that's right. So if I've got both course types, what I do is I find the column to the of the last cap, and I insert a column and I shift to the right. So see the this columns 8 plus the number of caps select.
Mm-hmm.
That selects the last cap course. And then I say selection insert, shift to the right. So I insert a column and shift everything to the right. And then the column width equals 1. And then I RGB 21, 211, 211, 211 is that kind of dull gray that you can just see in the background of the final session on the worksheet. See that gray?
Yeah.
Just look at, yeah, that gray, behind the weekend and behind final session. Yeah, that's, you know, RGB 21, 211, 211, 211.
Okay.
Okay. And then it sets the print range for that sheet to be, you know, the area of the sheet, and sets the zoom equal to 80. And if it's not a course week tab, then it sets the active window zoom to 100. And then at the end, it does some protecting and visibling, turns calculation back on, and then saves as, you know, that last statement. It does a save as, file name, and file format equals open XML workbook, which is XLSX. So that saves it as a macro disabled file, takes the macros out.
So we change that too, no?
Yeah.
That would be 2020. Okie dokie. Okay.
Okay, now if you take a look at the left-hand column of that window, you see a whole bunch of sheet 52, 53, 54, and then underneath that modules,
Yeah.
and then module 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 5. For some reason, every time you touch the macros, it likes to add different modules. So all of your macros aren't in the same, aren't all together. So if you click on module 2, this is that module 2 has the get leader results. So that's a different set of macros. And the get leader result is the one that opens up the file we get from the leader and then copies the column of data that they provide and paste it into the data tab.
Insert backline.
Those were recovery macros. I don't know what they do anymore, but the only one you're really interested in there is the
First one.
and the if the file exists. See right there, just where your cursor is, it says on error, go to no file.
Okay.
That just in Mac it doesn't work. In Windows, I think it does. If there's an error, then it doesn't do that. But if it does get the file, then it opens the file name, and it copies B10 through B42.
Okay. So there's the password.
So the only two tricky parts of that is, one, it's got to build the right file name. So that's why it says string file name equals string leader plus string course plus string location dot xlsx. And then it puts the path plus the application path separator. So that's why those files have to be in the same folder as this macro. And then the only other tricky part is that cells.find statement right in the middle of your screen.
Sales.find.
Yeah, right there where your mouse is. Cells.find what equals L date plus string course.
Oh, cells. I was looking for sales.
Yeah, cells.
Okay.
So it's looking for what row has the course corresponding to the file you just opened. And then it activates that cell when it finds that course. And then it gets the number of the row where it found that key. There's a key. If you take a look, if you take a look at that data, it'll be date followed by course type followed by location. And so it'll get the row number, and then it unprotects the results sheets. It copies B10 through B42, and then it goes to that row. And this row, row 10, row whatever it is, column 10, and then paste, and it pastes the values into that row. Selection paste special, and it takes the column and pastes it into the row. So click on data. Just click on the data tab. So that's how J is column 10. So I is column 10. So it copies the column 10 through 42 into row 10 through 42. And if you look at column C, which is kind of hidden now, but if you go to column C, that's the key where it's the date, the course type, and the location. So that's how it finds the load. Okay. Now, if you click on C and look at the formula there, and just any of the C, yeah. What it's doing is,
this is building an index.
yeah, builds an index, but it's reading the calendar. So let me show you how it reads the calendar. Click on B3. Just click on B3. Okay. So it looks up A3.
The date.
In the result, column 2. So it looks at column, it looks in results, it's hidden. So on
results hidden, yeah.
Results.
Just gonna get some water. Hold on. I'm following the logic. It's just at this meeting this morning, I had an Eggs Benedict and it's making me drowsy. So we can unprotect something that's coded, password protected. So B1042.
That's not that B10 through 42. Just click on one of the date sheets. Yeah. That's the B10 that you want. No, it's got to be the XXX CPC TCP city file.
Oh, so we're in the wrong file?
Well, it's copying the file that the leader sends, which is not this file. It's copying the XXX TCP city file. String file name equals leader, course, and location.
Okay.
So it's reading the file that the leader sends in, which is a different file. But in that file, the results are from 10 to 42. And it copies those from 10 to 42 and puts them in the data tab.
So where is, so that's still.
Up above that, above the on arrow right there, string file name.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So that's the file that the leader sends us. And in that file, that first tab, the results sheet is password protected. And the password is Jim. And that's what those activate, unprotect, range copy. Then it goes to sheet data, which is in this other spreadsheet. It finds it's already found what row it is and it pastes it into that row.
So in the string file name, how does it know which folder to look in?
It's in the same folder. So if you go up there, the 10th, just nearly at the top of that window, it says string path equals.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep.
So this sells 51. There's the path.
Well being this dot path, so it's in the same folder.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
All right, go back to the results tab. All that does is for each week, it counts the number of courses. So go to the working tab, column AA.
AA?
AA, yeah. Take a look at that formula. Okay.
G131 blank. Notes.
Okay, look at the formula in G131.
X. Upper C was just power. So it's not enhanced.
Scroll down to see where you can find a CPC. See if you can find out power to create. Just it's a lighter purple in column C.
Well, that's a CPC here.
No, that's a CPC plus. There's one. Yeah. It's interesting. It's converting the CAPE to CAP, but it's not converting the CPC plus to a CPC.
Mm-hmm. Will that create? Oh, what's this? Is that one? It's got that one. When did this start running?
Yeah, up at the top, just under the menu item called Run, is a blue box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
click.
did stop it though.
Okay.
That's interesting. What's going on with that cell? Why is that doing that? It's not text. It's not quote. That's odd. Did you ever come across that?
Now,
It's not text.
just delete it and copy another set, the upper, just clear all.
It's not even
Or
that. It's bizarre. Well, when in doubt, close and reopen.
yeah.
So that's G134. Okay. Gotta love Excel. Glitch in the matrix. There we go. Should this get rid of the plus?
No, just go back over to your AA. That's just counting the number of courses, so you're fine. So, but that's what that results tab does. It just gives for each week. For each week, the number of courses. Because it's counting the number of times that date shows up in that AA column. So I don't get it.
Okay.
So click on your results again.
It's 8.
June
18th.
June 8th. Okay, so now go back to your data tab. So your data tab says it starts with January 5 and there's no courses for January 5. So January 12, January 12 says if the cell above me is 0, how many put the number of courses from the results tab. So that first row of January 12 says, I don't know what you're looking at.
3 results. View 2. Well.
Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, okay, and then it just counts it down.
So it counts it down to 0.
0. Yeah.
And it starts over again.
Yeah.
Number of courses and counts it down to 0. And then because there's a 0 above it, it starts again with 7, which is the number of courses for January 26th. All right. Now take a look at A. Look at A3.
A3.
So it looks at that same B0.
Add 7. So yeah, so it goes to the next Saturday. Okay.
If it's 0, so and if it's not, it keeps it the same. So that's the way you get. If Nancy changes that working tab and adds or subtracts courses, this sheet adjusts for that because the working tab AA column counts the number of courses for that week, and this counts backwards from that number of course to 0 and puts 1 row in for each course of the week, even if that number of courses changes.
And it's not going to change in the middle of the year, right?
Occasionally it does. Like every once in a while, one of the smaller centers will cancel a course.
Because all of this is fixed.
You know, there's a certain number of courses that below which they'll cancel the course. I think it's 20 or 25 or 50.
Mhm.
And some of the smaller centers will have optimistically scheduled a course and then not been able to fill it. So occasionally it'll get canceled. But what I'm pointing to is this sheet adjusts to the calendar. And if they change a leader,
Mhm.
it adjusts to the leader.
Right, but if they actually change the course, let's say they add a course in, the like here, all of this data is fixed.
No,
So how does
well,
this
yeah, that data is fixed, but
how does it adjust?
she won't cancel or add a course to a week that's already happened. She won't cancel a course that's already taken place.
So I see what you're saying. Well, no, because on that weekend, right, it would have to be done ahead of time, right?
Yeah, they would never cancel a course
Mhm.
after the leader's already arrived or after they've sent us data.
Right. Okay.
If they cancel it, they'll cancel. I mean, it could happen, you know, say a weather emergency. Say they canceled the courses this weekend in Detroit because of the minus 842 degree weather. Then you know, they still wouldn't cancel a course after it started. So
Right.
so
No, that makes sense. I get it. Because then it would, but again, so this is all misaligned though.
well, that's fine. Once the stuff is pasted, all that highlighting is of no matter. You know, you can delete the highlighting if you like.
Yeah,
Because
this is
remember, it
all,
just copies and pastes in from the sheet, so it inherits whatever formatting's in the XXX TCP city file, the leader report file.
so technically we could just wipe all of that out then.
Yeah, don't delete that column. It's used for something.
No, I'm not deleting it. I'm using it to scrub the formatting.
Yeah, it'll show back up again once you put courses in there.
Yeah, and she copied across.
Now I want to show you one other thing. Click on the January 12th tab.
Birthday.
So the order of this is always the same. The order of the courses,
Okay.
it's always US courses first.
Of course.
And then within the US course, I mean, it's always access to power courses and then power to create. And it's always, and then there's some sequence of the regions. And then within the regions, it's alphabetical. So within US, it's Fort Lauderdale and then Washington, DC. And then it starts over again with London in Europe. And then it starts over again with New York as a power to create. But if you scroll through those tabs, you'll see that those are always in the same alphabetical order. There are always access to power first and power to create, and that's not a function of the calendar. So go back to your click on H2. Look in so go to your working tab now and look in column Z. That's the sequence of the
okay.
For that date. Now that's if you take it now, take a look at that row W. See what that W is. Okay, so it's match of C, which is the course type, in A1 through AK1 through AS1. So go all the way to the top row. And all the way over to AK. See how it's got, that's the order of the region. So it's US, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, India, Israel, Southeast Asia, Mexico, and out of area. And it's always access to power first, and then access to power enhanced, and then power to create, and then power to create enhanced, which is the AK through AS. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what it's so that formula that says match the course type in AK through AS. So AK is so AK through AS is that, you know, those are the course types. And then put a hyphen, and then match F, which is the region, in AA through AJ, which is the region number, right? And then put the date, which is the A column, and then put the location, which is the B column. So now go back to W. So now go back to W. So that's 2, which is, if a 2 is a match the course type. So that is CAPE, and then match the region, which is 1, so that's a US course, and then it's the date, which is 43477, and then the location is Fort Lauderdale. So that's kind of a key, which is the sequence of things. So if in sorting sequence, all of the access to power will show up first, and before all of the power to access to power enhanced. And is that making sense, Robert?
It is. It's coming together slowly.
So that column W is giving you the sequence, is giving you a sortable sequence for that course. So when I sort W, I get, when I sort W, I get the sequence so that see the 2143477 Fort Lauderdale would sort before 2143477 Washington, D.C. And those would sort between 2343477 London.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, no matter how that calendar is organized, that W will give you the sorting sequence, will give you a reliable key for getting the things in order. So now, if you go to column Z, that's getting the sequence for that date. Right where your cursor is a good example. See how the 2143484 LA occurs before 2143484 Washington DFW. But if you look at column Z, the DFW is the -1, and the LA is the -2, and the San Jose is the -3.
Cool. Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that Z column will always give you the date and then a sequence number for the course. So that's how across each of the columns in each of the week sheets, the courses are in a reliable order, and I'm not dependent on how the calendar is sorted, just because I calculate W to be the sequence
Mm-hmm.
and Z to be the order.
Cool.
Okay, so that's really all there is to do with that. Do you know how to step through macros?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know how to record them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So that's all you need to do.
That's usually how I do my VBA.
Yeah, that's how most of this stuff got done too.
Yeah, I just build, macros, or I build bits and pieces, and then I sew it all together, and then I just kind of tweak it.
Yeah. So
Tweak
anyway,
it.
that's the only tricky part about that one is there are some things that keep us from having to react to a changing calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is the results tab counts the number of courses. The data tab adjusts to the number of courses based on the results. And then the calculated columns of the calendar allow us to keep them in a predictable order across the page.
Right.
Now there's only one thing that it does not do, and that is the hiding and revealing of the columns for the courses is set when that build the week's courses tab macro is run at the beginning of the year. So if Nancy does add a course, you'll have to go to the week where she added the course and unhide the columns. And
which file would that be in?
it's in this one. Just go to the working. Just go to the bottom of the working tab and just
Okay.
just copy that row 273 to 274.
That's why Control V is play. Is a shortcut for your macro.
Yeah, that's what it does. So paste. And then just change the date to January 12. Okay, now go back to the January 12 column. Just go back to January 12. Oh, look at results. First look at results. See now how the January 12 has, oh, you've got calculation off, so just do calculate. 8 threads, how do you get 8 threads?
I've got 8 gigs of RAM and a quad core.
See how it's got five courses?
Yeah.
Now go to the January 12 tab. Okay, look at data first. Look at data. See how it now has five courses?
Yes.
Okay.
And this, yeah. Cool.
Okay. But we screwed it up. We added
We screwed it. Yeah, that was us. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's us. Now go to the January 12 tab. See, there's still only 4 courses shown.
Right.
Now, so unhide K through AY. And then see there's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a power to create in India, it's sorted to the way off to the right. So if she ever adds a course, you'll have to come and unhide the columns to reveal the course she added, or the one that got bumped off to the right.
Cool.
Okay, but you can see how this file adapts to the calendar through calculations.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll pick up the new leader, and it'll pick up the new leader's course, and it'll, you know,
Right.
insert courses in the right place, and, you know, it doesn't, and it's not dependent on how the working tab is sorted. It's all, you know, it's all really robust. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is sorted by
US,
by
by course type, then by region, then by location.
right.
But it's not alphabetically, so it's US
And,
first, then Canada, and then Europe, and then Australia, New Zealand, and so on.
and then but it's not by date. Well, wait a minute. Yes, it is. So this is all that weekend.
It's all that week, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, just change that date. Change that date to 19. Just put C10, put 19, January 19. And then hit your F9 to recalculate. See, it's really robust.
Super fast.
Right? So all of that stuff is based on just a couple of places, but it's so dependent on the calendar. It would have been a mess if we hadn't had all of this up behind the covers rearranging of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the build, so in summary for this file, the build week sheets takes the template and copies it into a tab for each week based on the calendar, and then builds a column for each course for that week based on the calendar and hides the rest. Then the save small macro, you know, essentially hides all the sheets people shouldn't have access to, protects the ones that aren't hidden, and inserts a column between the access to power and power to create.
Mm-hmm.
And then every week it reads the leader reports and inserts them into the data tab, which by formula appears on the tab for that week.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
So in 2020, you change those 3 lines in the macro, clear the columns J through whatever, not all the way over to the right because there's some calculations on the right.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that section.
Just clear that data value out, and you run the macro for 2020, and you've got your new 2020 course leader results master leader version.
But it would, yeah, because it would just save and close this file and resave it as 2020, right?
Exactly. So,
Cool.
So now the management file. So you can close that one. Just go back to your folder with the 6 files in it. So if you take a look, there's a 2019 Course Leader Weekly Master Management Preliminary version. Yeah.
I want to do that. Okay. Oh, it's opening. All right.
And then you'll have to enable the content. Enable content. Now, literally, the only difference is, see where it says coaches, promises, workings, and so on?
Yeah.
In the leader report, that's coaches MA working region. So the only difference is that promises tab
Mm-hmm.
is renamed from the MA's tab, and it has the minimum acceptable. And that's the work we did yesterday. But the macros are exactly the same. If you wanted to build this thing for 2020, you'd make those same 3 changes. You'd run the macro with the 2020 calendar in the working. You'd copy the ops manager calendar into the working tab.
Yeah.
You'd make those 3 changes in the source of the macro, and you'd run it, and you'd have the management.
Okay, cool.
Okay, if Zoe ever changes the promises, you'd come here and change them. And if she ever changes the minimum acceptable, you'd go to the leader and change them. Because the only difference between these 2 reports is the source of the conditional formatting highlighting, which is this tab.
Right.
Just click on the January 19th tab again, maybe, or January. Do January 12th because we haven't done it. See how the region has US,
Mm-hmm.
EUR. Now click on that H20, the red 21 cell, 21%. Look at conditional formatting for that. It's that, yeah, that one right there. Just look at the rules, manage the rules. Oh, sorry, it's looking at one of the hidden cells, but you can close that. Now, essentially what it's doing is it's using that region as a key to find what MA value is for each, and then is doing a yes, no, and the highlighting is just based on the yes, no. So if you unhide the K through AY, just unhide the K through AY columns. And just go over to the right of the course area. Yeah, for each of the courses, you know, there's a bunch of calculations. But if you look underneath, just keep going down the columns a little bit. There's the region, a whole bunch of stuff. Just keep going down a little bit more. See, that's the yes, no that's used for the coloring.
Okay, cool. Jeez. Wow. This is really
Okay, and what it's doing, look at see the TCP GPH 74. I'll bet you find that that's a lookup to the promises tab. The AD54, yeah. See how that's a lookup into the promises tab based on a bunch of stuff.
Frig. Wow. Okay.
So that's how the effective TCP GPH, yes, no, because that 74 is reading the region from AD 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks here. I used to build sheets where I got to the point where this formula, I ran out of character space.
Yeah, you'll find a couple like that particularly in the calendar. But anyway, the hidden column has all of the yes, no effective stuff. Now just go back up to you know, columns 8, 9, and 10. You know, just for Nancy's access to power. Again, the only difference is what it uses to measure the column, but just go up to the top of that column again. See where it says the in-area counts
Mm-hmm.
and the TG counts and the,
Yeah.
because the out of area and India are, I think the technical term for it is profoundly weird.
Profoundly weird.
The out of areas have courses so infrequently that to include them in averages would screw things up.
Yeah.
And India is a world of its own. You know, India will have a landmark forum of 480 people. And, you know, it's just, anytime you have an India course, just because of the size of the course and the hunger they have for transformational programs, just culturally, if I were to add India in, every week I have an India course would screw things up. So what they've done is they're saying we're going to measure India's averages separate. So now click on the promises. Just I'll show you this. Just click on the promises tab.
Mm-hmm.
See how the TCP GPH for the US is 74 and Europe is 65 and Australia is 75 and India is 110.
Holy shit, that's funny.
Okay, and the registrations per 100, the TCP registrations is 22, 23, 19, 21, 33.
Mm-hmm.
And the landmark form GPH is literally twice.
So that's guests per 100. That's
Yeah,
like 110.
Yeah, so if I have a communication program of 100 people, I would have 149 guests for the landmark forum in India and 70 in the US.
Cool.
However, I'd only have 25 in Japan. Okay, so just because India is so different, you know, it would be hard to read the averages anytime I include India. Does that make any sense?
No, totally.
You know, it would be like
Totally.
I'm averaging the 110 meter hurdle speed for, you know, the state championship track meet for the high schools in each of the states. Except some of the states I let the Olympians run. So any place I have an Olympian, it's going to screw up the average. Anyway, that's what I'm saying is when they talk about averages,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually averages not counting India, not counting the out of area, not counting Dublin, and not counting Bangkok. I mean Singapore. So now if I go back to that January 12th tab,
Sorry, say that again?
if I go back to the January 12th tab,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the average for the week. So one of the things is, does the in-area count for this week?
Okay, so
They all count because they're all, you know, they're none of India. Look and see if there's a January 19 India course. No. So just go back to the January 12 and look at that formula for counts. Just go down one. If 89 equals, yes, 89. Yeah, so now look at that formula, 89. See if it's India or out of area, then it's a no.
Mm.
Okay. So that's how I get the average for the week based on only everything not counting India. But
Mhm.
okay, that's why all of that, the in-area counts and the guest counts and the registrations counts and all that other stuff.
Cool. Okay, well, definitely going to review this video.
Okay, so this tab, the weekly master and the leader master are the same. The only difference is that promises tab is MA in the leader tab.
The flow charts you made yesterday, do you still have those?
Oh yeah, that put them in our shared box.
They're in here?
Call yesterday, just put the call 30 January. There's a folder called call 30 January, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's that.
So, actually, can you open that flowchart software that you have?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just.
And share your screen with me. Do I have to do something over here?
I just have to wait until it opens up.
Oh, I have to stop share, right?
Okay. Come on, give me.
Ooh, got awfully dark over there.
Don't get me started.
Fire up that fireplace.
Come on. Oh, I can't do it because I've got the window. Fix it full screen. Now let's see if I can do it. Yeah, there it is. All right. So what did you want to see?
Show me your screen.
Where we're staying is in rural France,
Mm-hmm.
and the house is not. They bought it 3 or 4 months ago, and they're still rebuilding it.
Yeah.
So only about half the rooms have heat. Only half the rooms have electricity.
So you're camping in the living room?
This room this room has electricity but no lights.
No lights.
So that's why it's dark.
Mm,
The bathroom floods when it rains. Okay, so here's the.
So make that big so I can see your toolbar.
My toolbar.
Oh, there it is. So if you go into File,
Yeah.
is there a drop-down menu?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. So if you do save as.
I don't have anything open.
Oh, okay. Because I need you to save it as a particular file.
Oh, like open yesterday's?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me just open it then from the Finder. Okay, open that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the. Okay, that's
Okay.
there's page page 5.
Perfect. So if you do File,
Yeah.
and then hold on, might be Export actually.
Okay. Mine Manager, OPML.
I think it's OPML. Hold on, let me open up my mind map. Oh, that's interesting. It won't open. It's really interesting. There we go.
Okay.
File, import. Yeah, so over here it says Mine Manager X5 map.
So you're using Mine Manager, so I can export it, file export as a Mine Manager file.
Yeah, that's the one. And then that allows me to open it up.
Okay.
I used to use Visio a lot.
All right, so I just want to drop this here, right?
And then I'll open that again.
There, so I put it in our shared Dropbox.
Okay, so if I go into Dropbox, I should. There's the OPML. Line maps. Import. Thought it was OPML.
Okay.
I think so. It might be a different. It might be a different file. I'm gonna have to figure that out again. Let me just do this.
Well, you've got the OPML and the MMAP files for all of those.
Okay, I think that might do it. Yeah, that didn't work so well. Oh, wait, maybe.
Yeah.
That didn't work. I'll figure it out.
All right, let me know if I need to save it as something else.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Well, the next thing that is probably going to take us more than the 20 minutes we've got left, so maybe we should end early today. Your brain
Okay.
full yet?
Kinda, yeah.
All right, well, let's end this.
What's the next topic gonna be?
Well, we're going to go through each of those tabs of the combined report in a little bit more detail.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that on Wednesday.
Right?
Yeah,
That's the 4:30 time, your 10:30.
10:30 Wednesday, yes.
All right, young man.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you again.
All right. Stay warm.
Yes, you too. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.